Good morning. My name is David Campos. I'm a Deputy County Executive for the County of Santa Clara, and I have the honor of serving as the Public Information Officer for the county's Emergency Operations Center. I'm here with James R. Williams, who serves as the County Counsel for the County of Santa Clara and also is serving as the Director of the Emergency Operations Center. A couple of notes. First of all, we were wearing face coverings before we started this Facebook Live, but we wanted to make sure that our ASL interpreter could actually interpret for American Sign Language, and that's why we're not covering our faces right now, but we will be doing that once this segment is over. The second thing that I note is that today is Memorial Day, and so we want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day. And we especially want to acknowledge the sacrifices of the men and women who have, made the biggest sacrifice and who have given their lives to this country. So in memory of those individuals, I'm just going to ask for a brief moment of silence so that we take an opportunity to remember them and their sacrifice. Thank you very much. Let me begin by reporting the number of cases that we had as of yesterday afternoon, May 24th. We had 2,617 cases reported in the county, 139 deaths. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those who died because of this pandemic. And happy to report that there were 0 deaths reported as of yesterday afternoon in new deaths. So I'm here with James Williams, who as County Counsel works closely with the Public Health Officer for the County of Santa Clara, Dr. Cody, and actually other public health officers. You've had 7 public health officers in the Bay Area that have stuck together by and large to issue a single or uniform health order that governs what happens in the Bay Area. So James, there was a new health order or a revised health order that was issued on Friday of last week. Actually, it was issued earlier last week, but it took effect, I think, 12:01 a.m. on Friday,
yes,
the 22nd. Can you tell us more about what that revised order does for viewers who may be asking what's different about what happened on Friday?
Absolutely. And I know there's a lot of changes going on at the state level and elsewhere. And we did have a change in the county order that took effect on Friday. That order did open up some new categories of activities. But I wanted to just start by kind of outlining a bit of the framework under which we're operating, because I think that'll help clear up some of the confusion that maybe has been out there. And that first kind of critical piece is that we do have to operate within the framework of the state order. So we have a local county order, and whichever is stricter is the order that controls. But we can't be looser than the state order because of that. And so as the state has allowed certain categories of things, those are the categories that local health officers can kind of look at and allow opening based on local conditions and based on the exercise of their judgment. And so on Friday, we did have curbside retail and manufacturing and logistics open up, along with some other activities. And that's good news. We're making some positive progress. The adherence to the shelter in place in this county and community has been just phenomenal, and we've really been a leader. But it's still a framework of shelter in place, and so I think it's important for people not to forget that. It's still the same overall basic framework, even as we are now in a phase where we're gradually, carefully, and thoughtfully opening different categories of activities.
So let's talk a little bit about some of those changes. So curbside retail, what does that mean? I know that some folks may be confused about whether or not the rules would allow someone to actually go inside a store. How does that work?
Yeah, so curbside retail means that the entire transaction is occurring outdoors. So storefront or curbside. It doesn't literally have to be sidewalk adjacent to a street. It could be pedestrian walkway or an alley or something like that. But the entire transaction needs to be outdoors. And in fact, folks are strongly encouraged, where possible, to have placed the order, made the payment in advance, and come just for the pickup. But it is not for customers to enter inside the store. That being said, it does open up pretty much all categories of retail and also associated manufacturing and logistics. And we also have rules to help employees stay safe in those working environments, including making sure that they're able to maintain effective social distancing.
So let's talk a little bit more about those specifics. So if you are a customer who wants to take advantage of the loosening up of curbside retail, are there things that you have to do if you're picking up an item, if you order an item online or on the phone?
Yeah, there are a couple really important things. So actually, with the order before this most recent iteration, face masking in any business facility, whether you're an employee or a customer or a visitor, is mandatory in Santa Clara County. And that's something that's really important for people to practice, adhere to. It needs to become our new social norm, quite frankly, that we are all wearing face masks, face coverings, when we are in a business, even if it's an outdoor business. So that's one really critical piece. The other is that we have updated our social distancing protocols, and in fact have made them kind of colorful and clear to understand. We've got a new COVID-19 prepared sign. This should be in the window of every single business that is open, along with a visitor information summary that should also be adjacent to that sign in every single facility that is open in the county. That applies not just to these new curbside businesses that have opened up, but all the essential businesses, all the other facilities that have been open. And the details of the protocol itself also have been updated to reflect the latest guidance and best practices from the state, which has issued sector-specific guidance on helping to keep employees and customers safe, but also the best and latest thinking from our public health officials on how we can safely open up activities, open up the economy, open up things that we all care about very much and very deeply, and do so in as safe a manner as possible. And our collective ability to be rigorous about these protocols, be rigorous about maintaining a lower number of people in a facility, maintaining social distancing, maintaining good hygiene, maintaining face coverings and other such considerations. How we do in those areas will really be the key to how we can actually be able to open even more things up and be able to move forward as a community.
So does that mean that if you're visiting a business that is engaging in curbside retail, that every business you visit has to have that sign?
Yes.
And what happens if they don't?
Well, it is mandatory under the order.
Okay.
We will be encouraging businesses to, many of them have the older protocol, which has been updated, and those are already, there. We're encouraging them to make this update. They need to do it, but we want to see that because there are some new best practices incorporated here. And we will be continuing to push on outreach as well as work with our partners if necessary on enforcement. But this community has been phenomenal, and we're confident that people will take this with the seriousness that it deserves.
And I know that we're working closely with the business community to
Yes.
make sure this information is provided to
Yes.
all the businesses, including the small businesses in the county. So you mentioned earlier that there were some new allowances for outdoor activity. So can you talk a little bit about what those new allowances would be? What else is allowed under the revised order?
Sure. So earlier we, in Santa Clara County, had already opened up outdoor businesses and many outdoor activities. And some new ones were added on Friday as well: outdoor museums, historical sites, and publicly accessible gardens, for example. So there are some facilities that, they have an indoor and outdoor component, where there is, an outdoor garden or something like that, and the outdoor part of that facility is now able to reopen. So that is broader than some of the outdoor activities that were allowed before. The weather is gorgeous. We know it's going to be very hot this week. People should stay safe and stay cool. But we do want to make sure that people can do as many things as we can safely do at this time.
Now, I know that we have gotten questions about the issue of car parades. Can you say, what is the rule now with respect to car parades?
Yeah, so we did get a lot of inquiries on this, and car parades were expressly added as an allowable activity under the order. They can't be gatherings, and they can't be places where people are then getting out of vehicles and mixing, because a mass gathering is something of considerable concern, as we're seeing from other examples elsewhere in the country. But car parades are now allowable, and it really had to do with the framework under the old order around what kind of travel was allowed, what kind of travel was essential. So that's been updated, and we definitely heard folks who wanted to have the opportunity to do that activity, and staying in your vehicle while doing so does allow it to occur in a safe manner.
I mean, we know that we got a lot of inquiries about that, so I'm sure that a lot of people are happy to hear that. Now, one of the challenges that we have is that you have 7 jurisdictions, you have a health order in each one of them, even though they're more or less the same. You also have the state order.
Yes.
And so I know that there has been an effort to align orders, between the local order and the state order. Can you talk a little bit more about that, and any big change that you want to identify for folks?
Yeah, so the state order sets kind of the baseline. It sets a floor for us to operate from. And local health officers can make modifications from that floor. In the Bay Area, we've worked really hard to try to move as collectively as we can, but there are local differences. Each county is a little bit different in what things look like regarding the spread of the disease, and things are a little different in in terms of what the environment is like. And so there are certain things that are tailored. But one piece that did come into alignment, the state order has no end date. It never has. And so one of the changes that all the Bay Area health officers did make last week was to remove the end date in order to align with that state order, which is continuing in effect. We're closely monitoring what's happening there and what's happening elsewhere. We're very closely looking at the data. I know our health officer looks at that information. She looks at it every day, and we'll continue to follow that, and I'm confident that she'll continue to be making data-driven decisions based on conditions here in Santa Clara County.
And sort of one last question in terms of how these decisions are made. We have spoken in the past about the indicators, right?
Yeah.
So what role do the indicators have in all of this?
Yeah, so we have that information on the website about the indicators that the Bay Area health officers collectively developed, but they're not triggers. And let me explain that for a moment. These are a set of things that the health officers are looking at to really gauge, okay, where are we in the trajectory of this disease, and how are we doing? And what are some of the tools and systems and things that we need to have in place? But it's not like a light switch that goes on and off, and one day boom, the switch goes on, and everything's back to how it was before COVID showed up. And that's why things like these social distancing protocols are going to remain so critical, because there are many aspects to how we do business, facilities that we visit and interact with each other that are going to need to look a little different for a while because of the continued spread of COVID generally and the continued risk that exists.
Well, I think that explanation is very useful. We wanted to take this opportunity to let people know more about what happened on Friday and the existing order that has been revised, that is now in place. One of the things that for our viewers that we are doing is, of course, we are expanding our testing capacity. And folks should know that we're making the county's testing officer, Dr. Marty Fenstershive, available to the media at 10:30 in just a few minutes to talk more about our testing. We know that there is a great effort on the part of the county to not only increase the number of tests, but also make sure that testing happens in the areas that have been the hardest hit by COVID-19, including East San Jose, South County. We're also going to be in Mountain View. We are right now actually in Mountain View as we speak. So stay tuned for all of the efforts to increase testing. And on the issue of testing, you can go to scfreetest.org to find out more information. James, anything else that you want to add to our viewers?
Yeah, I would say, the testing piece is absolutely important and critical. There's a lot of folks working really hard collectively to keep our community safe. I want to thank all of them, but I also want to thank our residents. If you look at what we have been able to do together as a community in Santa Clara County, it's really been phenomenal. And that credit goes to all of us together, all of our families together, really listening to the best advice from our health officer and doing what we need to. And so I would just strongly urge folks, we want our businesses to make sure that we're implementing these social distancing protocols. We want to open things up, but we want to do so safely so people have confidence that when we are able to be out and about and we're able to do more things together as a community, that we're able to do so with the confidence and comfort that it is safe. And that's going to be important for our families and for our economy and for all of us together.
Thank you, James, for those words. We want to thank our viewers, our residents. Again, today is Memorial Day. We wish everyone in Santa Clara County a happy and safe Memorial Day. And again, thank you to all the men and women who have sacrificed for our country. We're thinking of all of you today. Be safe out there.